All right, guys, I got to finish off these bonus letters. This is the 38 letters from John D. Rockefeller to his son. These are the bonus letters. Letter 39. The person who thinks the most feels the noblest and acts the most righteous, lives the most fulfilling life. June 18, 1906. Dear John, I am honored to have met some important people here today. Although you will say that there are no big people in this city, big people are all born in London, San Francisco, Rome, or other big cities and not from the local area. They all come from outside this town. If so, you are very wrong. The fact is that there are as many big people here as with other cities. There are many big names in the audience, including men and women. Now, allow me to boldly say that the biggest mistake we often make when judging whether a person is a big person is that we always think that big people have spacious offices. However, I want to tell you that this world does not know what kind of person the greatest person in the world is. So, who is the greatest man in the world? Young people may be anxious to ask such questions. Let me tell you that a greatest man is not necessarily someone who has an office in a high rise building. The reason why a person is known for being the greatest man lies in his value and has nothing to do with the position he has obtained. Who can say that a king who lives on food is greater than a farmer who works hard? However, please do not blame young people who hold a certain public office and think they may become big shots. Now, I would like to ask everyone here, who of you plans to be a great person? That guy in a Western cowboy hat, you said you will become a big man in this city someday. Really? When are you going to realize this wish? You said that when another war broke out, you would charge into battle in the rain of bullets and pull down the enemy's flag from the flagpole. You would wear a medal on your chest, return to the country triumphantly, and serve as a public office awarded to you by the government. Become a big shot? No, it will not. Young man, you were not really great in doing this, but we should not blame your ideas. You were taught this way when you were in school. Those who hold official positions have participated in the war bravely. I remember that when the Spanish War and the United States just ended, there was a peace parade in our city. People told me that when the parade team walked on Blow Street, a carriage stopped at the gate of my house. Sitting in the carriage was Mr. Hobson. Everyone threw their hats into the sky, waved their handkerchiefs, and shouted, "Long live Hobson." If I were there, I would shout like that because he deserves this great honor. But suppose I go to the university forum tomorrow and ask everyone, "Boys, who sank the USS Merrimack?" If they answer it's Hobson, then their answer is a 7/8 lie because there was a total of 8 people who sank the USS Merrimack. And the other 7 people had been exposed to Spanish artillery fire because of their positions. As a commander, Mr. Hobson was probably out of the artillery fire. My friends, the audience here tonight are all intellects, but I dare say that none of you can tell who the 7 people are fighting with Mr. Hobson. Why do we use this method to teach history? We must teach the students that no matter how low a person's position is, as long as he performs his duties, the American people should give him as much honor as the king. Most people teach that Most people teach their children in this way. Her young son asked, "Mom, what is that tall building?" "That is the tomb of General Grant." "Who is General Grant?" "He is the one who put down the rebellion." How can history be taught like this? Think about it. Everyone, if we only have one General Grant, will the war be won? Oh no, so why build a grave on the Hudson River? This is not because General Grant himself was a great man. The tomb was built there because he was a representative figure representing 200,000 heroic soldiers who lost their lives to the country, and many of them were as great as General Grant. This is the real reason that beautiful tomb stands on the banks of the Hudson River. I remember one thing that can be used to illustrate this situation, and this is the only example I can think of tonight. I am ashamed of this incident and cannot forget it. I close my eyes now and go back to 1863. I can see my home in the Berkshire Hills. The bull market is full of people, and the local church and city hall are also full. I heard the band playing, saw the national flag flying and the handkerchief waving in the wind. I still have fresh memories of that day. The crowd is here to welcome a company of soldiers, and that company is also coming in line. After serving one period of military service in the Civil War, they have to extend another period. They are now being welcomed by their hometown elders. I was just a young guy, but I was the company commander. On that day, I was triumphant like a fully inflated balloon. Just a thin needle could pierce me. I am at the forefront of the team. I am prouder than anyone in the world. We lined up in the city hall. They arranged for my soldiers to sit in the middle of the hall, and I sat in the front row. Then the town officials lined up out of the crowd. They walked to the stage and sat in a semicircle. Next, the mayor cannot sit in the center of the semicircle seat. He is an old man with gray hair and has never held a public office before. He believes that since he holds a public office, he is a great man. When he stood up, he first adjusted his heavy glasses and then looked around the people under the stage with an extremely majestic posture. Suddenly, his eyes fell on me, and then the kind old man walked to me and invited me to sit down with the officials in the town. Invited me to the stage. Before I joined the army, no city official noticed me. I sat in front of the stage and let my saber hang on the floor. I put my arms around my chest, waiting to be welcomed and feel like Napoleon V. Pride always comes before destruction and failure. At this time, the mayor delivered a speech on behalf of the people, welcoming our group of the soldiers who had returned triumphantly. He took out the speech from his pocket, carefully spread it out on the lecture table, and adjusted his glasses. He took a few steps from behind the pulpit and then moved forward. He must have studied the speech manuscript very carefully, because he adopted the posture of a speaker, placing the weight of his body on his left foot, moving his right foot slightly forward, retracting his shoulders, and then opening his mouth with his hand at an angle of 45 degrees. Dear citizens, he said, we are happy to welcome these brave fighters who are not afraid of bleeding. The soldiers have returned to their hometowns. We are especially happy to see those who are with us today. There was a young hero. There is a young hero, referring to me. This young hero, in our imagination, we have seen him lead troops in desperate fights against the enemy. We saw his shiny saber shining brightly in the sun, and he shouted at his troops, "Charge!" God, this kind old man knew nothing about war. If he knew a little more about war, he would know the fact that it is a grave mistake for an infantry officer to run ahead of his subordinates at a dangerous moment. I even held the command knife that was gleaming in the sun and shouted to my subordinates, "Charge!" I had never done this before. Think about it. Will I run to the front and be attacked by the enemy in front and leave the troops behind? The officer should not go there. In actual combat, the officer's position is behind the soldier. Because I was a staff officer when the rebels rushed out of the woods and attacked us from all directions, I always rode a horse and shouted to our army all the way, "The officers retreat! The officers retreat!" Then every officer will retreat to the back of the combat zone, and the higher the rank, the further away. This is not because he lacks courage, but because the rules of battle are like this. If the general ran to the front and was killed, the battle will definitely be lost because the entire battle plan is in his mind and he must be in absolute safety. I was even holding that saber gleaming in the sun. What? Among the soldiers sitting in the city hall that day, there were people who had used their lives to protect me. A half-sized officer and someone that carried me across the deep river. Some people were not there because they died for the country. The speaker also mentioned them, but they were not noticed. Yes, those who really died for the country were not noticed. But this little boy of me was said to be the hero of the time. Why am I treated as a hero? It is simple because the speaker fell into the same stupid trap. This little boy is an officer, the others are just soldiers. I learned a lesson that I will never forget. A person is great not because he has a certain official tide. The reason why he is great is that he used a few tools to create a greater cause and accomplish his life goal as an unknown civilian. This is the real greatness. A person is great not because he has a certain official tide. Maybe official title? The reason why he is great is that he used a few tools to create a greater cause and accomplish his life goal as an unknown civilian. This is the real greatness. As long as an individual can provide the public with spacious streets, comfortable houses, elegant schools, solemn churches, sincere admonitions, and genuine happiness, As long as he can get the gratitude of local residents, no matter where he goes, he is great. But if he is not thanked by the local residents, no matter where he goes to the earth, he will not be a great person. I hope everyone here knows that we should live in meaningful actions, not years. We live in feelings, not the numbers on the phone buttons. We live in thoughts, not air. The time should be calculated based on the beating of the heart under the correct goal. If you forget what I said tonight, please do not forget the following statement. The person who thinks the most, feels the noblest, and acts the most righteous lives the most fulfilling life. Love your Father.